Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician, and this is Holomancer.
And of course, I am the daring reporter Dora.
We are very glad to see you all again.
All Galakrond's Awakening cards are finally available in the game, and the meta is already almost formed. It seems to us that serious changes could only happen with balance changes.
Therefore, we have decided to prepare a list of the most effective decks for the ladders of the standard and wild modes.
To do this, we analyzed HS replay statistics and considered deck analytics from Hearthstone top decks, Out of Cards, Meta Bomb and Tempo Storm. After that we decided on the most optimal versions of decks for you.
Let's start with the worst class in the game. The Shaman is in crisis after the last series of nerfs. One of its better archetypes right now is Aggro Overload Shaman. Despite the fact that the archetype has low overall popularity and efficiency, we managed to find a rather effective version of the deck. Our version costs 6,520 dust, and has a win rate of 55%.
As you know, this deck is an old school aggro deck. The game plan is to control the board early through the use of flexible removal tools, amass chip damage with your minions, and finish off the enemy with burn spells, to close out games quickly.
Next in line is Highlander Mage. This is a singleton deck that spawned from the Saviors of Uldum expansion. Descent of Dragons added an additional Highlander support card to the deck, Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. Finally, Highlander Mage received a couple of nice cards from Galakrond's Awakening such as Escaped Manasaber and the Amazing Reno, both of which are in our featured list. The Amazing Reno gives you a full board clear and casts a random spell every turn, which is beneficial in ways similar to Yogg-Saron or Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron. Thanks to this support, Highlander Mage experienced a substantial surge in popularity this week, rising from its customary 5% play rate to about 9%. Jaina is especially popular at lower ranks.
Highlander Mage is being held back a bit by the dominance of Hunter decks, which are its worst matchups. Mage's matchups against Hunter are just terrible. Jaina is especially vulnerable to aggro Dragon Hunter, since Mage loses almost 70% of these games.
In 7th place is Warlock.
Warlock is losing diversity. Its only effective archetype left is Zoo. Zoo Warlock is still effective against almost all Druid, Paladin, Rogue, Shaman and Priest archetypes, but despite this, the archetype has only 2% popularity. Galakrond Zoo Warlock has fallen this week, broken by the huge meta shift that saw the Hunter class rise to the top. Zoo performs terribly against every Hunter deck. The rise of Hunter popularity is very bad news for this archetype's future prospects.
Here is the best Druid deck.
Players have tried to make Trent Druid work since the release of the Witchwood. Finally, after nearly 2 years, it's time for Treants to rise. Descent of Dragons has added some of the most powerful Treants synergies we've ever seen.
Unfortunately, Galakrond's Awakening brought nothing new to the archetype. Amidst the falling popularity of Embiggen Druid, Token Druid has increased in popularity and win rate. The deck is actually a reasonable answer to almost all Hunter decks, but it isn't capable of the same power spike turns that all the other effective archetypes are capable of. This is a huge problem, as you will experience great difficulties facing archetypes such as Mech Paladin, Highlander Mage, Zoo Warlock and Galakrond Rogue.
The 5th place is occupied by Galakrond Warrior. This is a bit of a mix between aggro and mid-range. It utilizes both control and aggressive tools, to take control of the board and burn its opponent out of the game.
The hero power for Galakrond gives the user 3 attack the turn it is invoked, meaning it's a very useful ability to either push tons of damage or clear small minions. It's an all-round solid mid-range deck that can compete with the vast majority of the current tier decks. Exceptions are Druids and Resurrect Priest.
Galakrond Rogue was, and remains, one of the best decks in the game despite many card releases and meta shakeups. Galakrond Rogue also received nothing special in the Galakrond Awakening.
Not much has changed for the archetype in the past week. It is still shaky against Embiggen Druid, but Rogue continues to dominate almost every other class, posting exceptional win rates against Priest, Shaman, Warrior, Paladin and other rogues.
Highlander Mage is on the rise, but Rogue handles the archetype fine. The only serious threat to the Rogue is the increased popularity of the Hunter. This is the only restraining factor for the archetype, but even if you are unlucky enough to meet Dragon Hunter in battle, you will still win about half of your matches.
Next in line is Resurrect Priest. Resurrect Priest is a control deck that aims to make use of the resurrection mechanic to bring back high-value minions to close out the game.
Our version of the deck costs 11,400 dust, and has a win rate of 58%.
The Galakrond package gives Resurrect Priest some good single target removal with Time Rip, as well as a strong late-game win condition in the form of Galakrond itself. Bad Luck Albatross has also remained in most lists, as it allows the deck to have a better chance against Highlander decks. The main reason behind the deck's strength is its good matchups against most aggressive decks such as Hunter, Paladin and Warrior. The deck's main disadvantage is its low efficiency against rogues, shamans, and other priest archetypes.
The second place is held by Mech Paladin. Forget everything you knew about the old versions of this archetype. This time around, thanks to some of the new cards from the Descent of Dragons, Mech Paladin has sped up heavily, and is now an aggro deck.
Mech Paladin is holding up well and hasn't dropped out of Tier 1 despite the decline of Embiggen Druid, one of its stronger matchups. The deck thrives in the current meta because it performs well against all types of hunters. Quest Hunter is the only archetype fighting back. As long as Hunter stays at the top of the tier list and continues to suppress rogues, Mech Paladin will perform better and better. Mech Paladin is an excellent choice for climbing, boasting strong win rates against everything outside of a declining Resurrect Priest, Galakrond Rogue, Galakrond Warrior and Highlander Warrior.
And finally, the most powerful standard mode deck.
Dragon Hunter comes out of seemingly nowhere and instantly takes the top spot in Tier 1.
The deck received some build-around cards from the Descent of Dragons expansion, but the deck wasn't pushed into viability until it received the final piece to the puzzle from Galakrond's Awakening, Rot Nest Drake. The deck is cheap and fast, which is perfect for climbing. This version costs a little over 5,000 dust, and has a win rate of 59%.
The matter is still finding ways to adapt to this new deck, but at the moment, it seems to beat nearly every Tier 1 and Tier 2 deck aside from Galakrond Warrior, Mech Paladin and Resurrect Priest.
Here's the conclusion that the Tempo Storm team came to. Despite Hunter being at the top of Tier 1, the meta feels pretty balanced. There are a lot of solid Tier 2 or even Tier 3 decks that are viable as the meta shifts around nearly every day.
It's hard to disagree. We definitely have a wide variety of different archetypes, but at the same time, Hearthstone is already pretty tiring.
Dear viewers, what do you think? Is it necessary to balance the Hunter or not?
The Hunter remains the most productive class. 5 of 6 archetypes have high efficiency. Every 5th deck on the ladder is Hunter. We have concerns that the influence of the Hunter will increase over the next weeks. In addition, the Hunter is the most popular class according to the results of the whole Year of the Dragon.
Before we get to the best wild mode decks, we want to remind you about our idea for a new Hearthstone monetization system. Join the discussion and vote, if you have not already done so. You can find a link in the description.
So, let's take a quick look at the best decks in Wild.
Unfortunately, players have access to a smaller number of sources that monitor changes in the wild. Fortunately, Tempo Storm and HS Replay continue to follow the changes in the wild metagame.
The third place among the best decks belongs to even Shaman. Unlike standard mode, Shaman feels great in the wild.
Even Shaman is a deck that plays basic totems for 1 mana instead of 2 due to the deck-building restriction of Gan Greymane, a legendary minion that requires you to build your deck with only cards that are even costed. The deck uses Totem Golem and its hero power to produce wide boards, leading into a strong threat mid-game with Thing from Below and Sea Giant. Even Shaman also has the Stormbringer, a legendary tool for transforming your board into random legendary minions.
Our version will cost you almost 8,000 dust and has an efficiency of over 65%.
In second place is Mech Handbuff Paladin, with a win rate of more than 65%.
This is a fast and aggressive archetype that relies on using mechs like Galvanizer and Mechwarper to play heavily discounted minions to quickly create boards that are both wide and tall. It is one of the most played archetypes in the meta and is dominant against unprepared opponents. Other aggressive archetypes that don't utilize silence effects, such as Pirate Warrior, Odd Rogue and Odd Paladin, are usually in for a difficult time against the Paladin.
And finally, the most effective deck is Secret Mage, with a 66% win rate.
Secret Mage pushes massive amounts of damage out of nowhere, has the ability to use secrets for free and draws cards at alarming rates. The deck does not have many weaknesses. It is easy to pilot, and capable of amazing results. There is no wonder why the deck has been constantly placed so high in the meta.
Alaneth remains the best card draw in the game, and Stargazer Luna utilizes the many low-cost cards in the deck to gain even more card draw. After all the card draw and minion chip damage, Secret Mage can finish almost any matchup with a double Fireball and Cloud Prince.
It is time to ask a question. How do you like the ending of the adventure? Are you satisfied with the solo content?
And what do you think of the new cards? Did this card set make a significant impact on the metagame? We created a YouTube poll. Find the I button on the screen and vote.
Please like, subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us.
And special thanks to Chris for text editing.
We will meet in new videos.
Good luck.